What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and this morning, Democrats have erupted over what they heard Senator Joe Manchin have to say on stimulus reconciliation. And this is your stimulus and infrastructure bill update as of today, November 4th, 2021. Now, chances are, if you woke up and checked the news, you saw Senator Joe Manchin all over the place because this morning he's been doing a ton of interviews, and Democrats are not happy with what he had to say. Take a look at this, you guys. Joe Manchin angers progressives after declaring the U.S. is a center-right country. That's being shown. We can't go too far left, he said. Now, keep in mind the fact Joe Manchin is a Democrat. He's on the left, and he's telling Congress our country is center-right, or more so, Republican. Take a look at this video footage, you guys.
We just have to work together. We can't go too far left. This is not a center-left or a left country. We are a center, if anything, as a little center-right country, and that's being shown. And we ought to be able to recognize that. And all of my friends on the left are progressives or liberals or whatever. I said, I'm not. I always say that I'm a responsible West Virginia Democrat.
Now, there you have it. And again, just to remind you, Joe Manchin is actually a Democrat, and his party is furious with him right now. And they're saying that he's actually the reason why the governor races were lost, and they're saying that he has betrayed them. They're saying he might as well be a Republican.
Infrastructure, creating jobs.
Terry McAuliffe has been saying for weeks that his fate was tied to the progress of negotiations here on Capitol Hill, and there ought to be a clear message to my party and all those who support it to get the job done.
Congress has to deliver. We need to get it done, and as one who will be running for re-election in 2022, I need results that I can show the American people.
Now, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But you guys, I'm going to be sharing with you the interviews taking place this morning so you can see it for yourself and let me know your thoughts. He's going to be bringing up a lot of good points. And in the interviews, to me, it looks like he might be actually convincing the news reporters. As in the beginning, you're going to see them shaking their heads no in disapproval. But towards the end, let me know your thoughts. It looks like they start nodding in agreement as he brings up a lot of good points about inflation, saying the Federal Reserve is now saying it is not transitory. We're feeling the effects in our everyday lives, and we don't want to provide more stimulus to cause it to grow even more. Also, he says the original stimulus reconciliation bill of $3.5 trillion was supposed to be over the course of 10 years. He's saying now we're taking it down to just a couple years, but we've only cut the spending bill in half. He's saying it's not equaling the same, and this is more spending than they're telling us. And he's saying we need more time to understand this. And he also said previous stimulus packages, a lot of them were done with bipartisan support. And he's saying at this time, we don't have that. We are a divided Congress, and we need to get all on the same page. That's the way Congress is supposed to work, he's saying. But you guys, watch the video footage. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that maybe you agree with him, or do you think that no, Senator Joe Manchin is the one person that's causing this all to fall apart and he is wrecking the Democratic Party, which is what we're hearing progressives say this morning as they are infuriated by what he is saying. And take a look, you guys, other articles coming out this morning like this. Manchin objects to paid family leave added back into the social spending bill. And Manchin calls the election results a wake-up call, reacts to the impacts on the Biden agenda. And the West Virginia Democrat is scared because people aren't saying this is good for our country. And you guys, we're hearing that if they don't get something done, the power will flip to the Republican Party. So you guys, let's take a look at this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But one thing is for sure, and that is we have bipartisan support for the like button. Don't forget, smash the like button before we dive in. Helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Also, leave your comments, share this out. If this is your first time here, I'll keep you up to date. All you got to do is hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. Stimulus, Congress, the economy, unemployment, I'll let you know what's happening. And if you got any specific questions for me, totally understandable because there's a lot going on. I'm doing about 2 or 3 uploads per day. Just shoot me a DM on Instagram at SteveRam3. I go through my DMs and I'll respond, try to get you any answers to any questions that you got. But with that being said, let's take a look at these interviews that have been happening all morning so you can hear it for yourself directly from Senator Joe Manchin on stimulus and infrastructure.
Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Senator, it's great to have you on.
Thanks for having me, Mika.
let's get right to it. Many top Senate Democrats are warning the loss in the Virginia governor's race proves the party needs to pass President Biden's agenda as soon as possible. Take a listen to this.
Congressional Dems heard Terry McAuliffe. We had been able to deliver infrastructure and reconciliation in mid-October. He could have sold universal pre-K, affordable child care, infrastructure, creating jobs.
Terry McAuliffe has been saying for weeks that his fate was tied to the progress of negotiations here on Capitol Hill, and there ought to be a clear message to my party and all those who support it to get the job done.
Congress has to deliver. We need to get it done. And as one who will be running for re-election in 2022, I need results that I can show the American people.
Senator, are your colleagues wrong in their assessment?
No, we should have gotten something done, Mika. We had the USICA bill, which is a China compete bill. We passed with about 90 Democrats and Republicans from the Senate. It's been sitting in the House for quite some time. That's $250 billion, tremendous amount of research and technology to compete with China because we're standing still while China's moving forward. We have a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, which truly for 8 to 10 years will rebuild America. We've let that go on for 30 years and we haven't done a thing, Mika. I agree with my colleagues. We should have gotten those two done. They're both sitting over in the House. But to have these bills being held hostage when we have a much larger bill that we need to work on, we just need to work in good faith. So I don't know why we couldn't pass or why the House members couldn't pass the two bills they've been sitting on for quite some time. And then let's sit down and work through. Let's get a CBO score. I think what the election showed us, Mika, was basically people are concerned. They're concerned about inflation. They're concerned about the debt. No, we don't talk about it, but they are concerned. I can tell you back home in West Virginia, gas prices are enormous. People are having a hard time driving to work and paying $20 or $30 more to fill up. They're going to the grocery stores and getting 30% less. They're about ready to face a very bad winter. We're told at much higher prices. So yes, I think we should be upfront, honest, and transparent with American people and do what we can afford to do.
So you've just described the realities surrounding exactly why these bills need to get through. What is it? I've got a checklist here. I'll write it down. What is it going to take to get to yes?
Well, to get to yes is first to find out what the real cost is, what we're talking about. We're using 10 years of revenue to basically supply 1 or 2 or 5 or 6 years of services. And that's not the true cost. The true cost would be 10 years to 10 years. So if you have 10 years of revenue, then you would think that if we put a program in place, that program would last 10 years too. This all needs to come forward, and we need to have a CBO score. The Congressional Budget Office truly puts a score to this. But Mika, the only thing I would say is the rush to this, and I've said this long before, I truly believe that we need to slow down. I truly believe that we need to wait and see if inflation is transitory. See how much worse it may get. Hopefully it doesn't. People are saying both. So I'm willing to work through it. I've told my colleagues, they all know where I stand. I've been trying to be as transparent as humanly possible on the things that we all agree on. And when we have such a divided Congress in the House and the Senate, and I think the votes in Virginia and also in New Jersey showed how divided we are, Mika.
Okay, but you talk about cost, and I know there's different sets of time that could be debated, but you agreed to $1.75 trillion, yes?
Sure. 1.75. The President and I came to an agreement on 1.75. I was working on 1.5, as you know, and I felt very strongly about that. The President was working very hard, and we had good conversations, we had good dialogue, and we had good negotiations. Okay. That's what it's all about.
Okay, so what needs to be in there? What needs to be in there, or what needs to be out of there?
Well, let me tell you the things that we can agree on, that we have agreed on. Child care. We agreed on child care. We've agreed on pre-K 3 and 4. We agreed on in-home services. We agree on basically climate bill that basically uses technology, not just eliminating certain fuels, but technology to use them cleaner so the world will use them cleaner. Because the world is using more fossil than ever before. And if the United States of America doesn't find a pathway forward and a breakthrough in technology, then the world will get much worse, because 90% of pollution will come from Asia, which is going to be really from China. China has 3,000 coal-fired plants. We have 500. And my environmental friends will make you believe that the 500, and they're the cleanest ones in the world, the 500 are polluting the whole world. They're just not being accurate.
So there are reports that the House is putting back in paid family leave. Is that a deal breaker for you?
Well, there's so many things that they're throwing back in because that's their constituent. I mean, they have a caucus over there, and they should basically work the bills as they see fit. I don't begrudge anybody for doing that, but they shouldn't begrudge me for saying this is not the right place for this piece of legislation. I believe in family leave. I believe people should have that opportunity. But I've seen states that have already done it in America. I've seen countries around the world that have already done it. Can't we find a better position for this and do this in a bipartisan and in a process that works? Because here's what we're talking. We're talking about unpaid family leave now. That's going to add an awful lot to the debt that we already have at $29 trillion. They talk about Medicare expansion. I would love to be able to expand Medicare if we had our financial house in order. But when you have a report from the CBO that you're going to be basically insolvent in Medicare by 2026, and you want me to add more on to it that'll make it insolvent quicker? I've got people in West Virginia, Mika, that's their lifeline. Their lifeline is Social Security and Medicare, and I'm doing everything I can in my power to protect it and get those on solid financial grounds so people can depend on it. Then we can expand.
Willie.
Good morning, Senator. It's Willie Geist. Want to drill down a little bit more on paid family leave. I'm doing well, thank you. Speaker Pelosi yesterday again said this is going to be in the bill. Paid family leave will be in the bill. The proposal we're hearing at NBC News is for 4 weeks. President Biden on the campaign trail in 2020 made this a central promise of his campaign. We're going to get paid family and medical leave. So can you explain what you mean when you talk about this? Are you saying that it's important, but it should be its own piece of legislation, or are you saying that you object to it altogether?
No, I do not object to it at all as far as the concept of paid family leave. People should be able to have family leave as they need it, but also we should be paying into it from, same as we do Social Security. It's employer-employee participation. I'm talking to my Republican colleagues and friends and my Democrats. We can work a piece of bill out in a regular process that doesn't put a burden on taxpayers, doesn't put a burden and also more debt. Because when you start the programs, you never stop them. You just don't. And we're trying to get something that's sustainable. Willie, let me tell you, anytime we do something through reconciliation, it's done only by one party. The Senate was not designed to work off of just partisan politics. The Senate was designed to work off of bipartisan politics. And when you do bipartisan, that's what's made us the most stable country in the world. We don't flip back and forth every time somebody changes power. But what happens now when you do reconciliation, the next time there's a power switch and Republicans would have control, they're going to switch back the same as we're switching the tax code. There wasn't a Democrat. One thing we all agreed on, Willie, there wasn't a Democrat that voted in favor of the 2017 tax cuts, which we thought were weighted to the high-end earners. Let's fix that. We're talking about everything but how we really fix truly the tax code that gives and puts our country back on a trajectory that we can be responsible with our debt and manage our debt. That's all I've been saying.
As you know, many of your colleagues have said Joe Manchin holds all the cards here. Whatever he decides to do determines the fate of this package that could be defining for President Biden. So, Senator, do you see a possibility that this $1.75 trillion proposed package, the Build Back Better package, does not pass, that it goes away altogether?
I don't know. You don't want to look at anything. I've always tried to sit down and work out a compromise. That's my mode of operandum as far as a public servant. Look back at my time when I was in West Virginia in the House of Delegates, state senator, secretary of state, and also governor for 2 terms. I wanted people to come together, find a common solution, and move forward so we could all go out and speak about it. I've always said this, Willie, the best politics is good government. You do something that the people really need and the people really want, and they like you to do it together, it'll last. When you do it, we're trying to do and shove things down where there's so much disconcern on this, it makes it much more difficult to have any lasting legs to it. So, it's just, this is all about the United States. It's not the divided states, and we seem to be pushing ourselves further and further apart. What is the rush? Basically, all the things, Willie, that we're talking about that's in the reconciliation bill that we really like to do, and a lot of things we really like, have pretty much been covered in the American Rescue Plan, and that's going to go on for 2022. So the urgency today to do something quickly before we know exactly what it costs, the ramifications it'll have, and what we all afford. There's only 50 of us. We're in a divided. These big things that were done in Congresses before us were done with major majorities and whoever was in control. We don't have that now. In my state, I represent the constituents in my state the best I can. Right. And right now I'm doing the best I can by basically representing them and also looking at what's best for our country and what we can afford.
So there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. That was Senator Joe Manchin just this morning. Now, we're hearing that Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, President Joe Biden, they're all saying that they're going to be getting this done right away, actually this week. But keep in mind the fact, the way the Senate works is, in order for something to pass through the traditional means, out of the 100 senators, they need 60 to vote in favor of a bill. Now, they're doing this through the process of reconciliation, which means it just needs a majority vote. And right now, the Senate is split 50 Republicans and 50 Democrats, which means in order for Democrats to pass through their agenda, this bill, they literally need every single Democratic senator to vote in favor. And right now, Senator Joe Manchin is saying no. So they have got to get him on board. And we're going to be seeing if they're going to be able to do that. And if they do, they'll be able to push something through. But we're hearing if they do not, there's going to be a lot of significant consequences that are going to be coming up, and Democrats will likely lose power. And keep in mind the fact that not only stimulus and infrastructure, but also increasing the debt ceiling and avoiding a government shutdown, those are also agenda items as well. So we're going to be seeing what unfolds. I'll be sure to keep you up to date here on the channel. Let me know your thoughts down below. And you guys, thank you so much for joining me. As always, if you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, smash the like button. It has bipartisan support. You might as well do it. It helps me out a ton. Just takes a second. Thank you so much. Leave your comments, share this out, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. And if you got any specific questions for me, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3. And oh yeah, starting up a second channel as well, coming up here soon. I'll let you guys know about it shortly. But thank you so much for joining me. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.